ourselves to read something we ordinarily.
Obsesif, ngobrol seru, skills for first jobbers. Hi Media friends, good news for you. This month we're going to broadcast the special collaboration podcast episodes of Media by KG Media and Asia Pacific Media Forum 2022, which were just held at Bali Nusa Dua Convention Center on October the 20th till the 21st. With the theme APMF Metamorphosis Thoughts, we will listen to the experiences and insights of APMF speakers from various industries to inspire you to live beyond, make changes, take action, and unlock possibilities. So make sure to follow the Obsesif podcast, turn on your notifications, and don't forget to rate us on Spotify. Alright, media friends, in this episode, Sulyana and Andikko will have an insightful conversation with Rohit Bhargava, a best-selling author and a non-obvious trend curator in the US. Rohit has also spent 15 years working in advertising, and 8 years ago, he started his own company called Non-Obvious Company. So, what's the story behind the non-obvious trend and also Rohit's book? Let's check it out.
Good morning, Rohit.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very excited to take the stage.
Yeah, you're first from today, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And how's the flight from?
It was long, but I mostly slept, so no problem.
So jet lag and everything?
No, I don't have jet lag. I just I sleep to adjust my body time, so I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So enjoying Bali and...
Yeah, very nice. I went to Seminyak yesterday.
Okay. And how was it like?
It was great. I got a tattoo and
Ooh, okay. That's like
the whole
permanent.
experience.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then what do you think about the APMF yesterday? Like, have you?
I did. I went to a
Uh-huh.
few sessions. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful gathering of people in media and marketing, and I call them my people because I spent my career in marketing also.
Okay. So Rohit, maybe before we start the interview, maybe you can tell us about yourself a little bit, like what's your background and stuff.
Yes, so I spent 15 years working in advertising for Leo Burnett and for Ogilvy. And I lived for 5 years in Australia. Then I went to the Philippines, and then I went to America, which is where I live now.
Okay.
And about 8 years ago, I started my own company called Non-Obvious Company. And it teaches organizations and leaders how to see what everyone else misses. So I do a lot of trend research, and I train leaders on how to be more innovative and creative.
So, like, what's the story behind it? Like, non-obvious. Like, why do you think it matters for leaders to know?
I think non-obvious is, for me, it's the idea that many leaders focus only on their industry, or they focus only on their job. And as a result, they're not as creative as they could be, and their organizations are not as flexible to change as they could be. So what I try to teach leaders and professionals is how do you see other things? How do you understand other industries? How do you challenge yourself to pay attention to media from other groups? Because then you can get better ideas coming into your industry.
And why do you think it's important for leaders to see another industry and then absorb it in their organization?
Yeah, I think that it's very important because we generally consume media that we agree with. We look at perspectives from people who think the same way we think.
Okay.
And what that leads to is misunderstanding, and it leads to a lot of conflict. Because you see someone who doesn't think the way you think, and you assume that they must be stupid or they must be wrong.
So there's judgmental.
Yeah, and it leads to missed opportunities also. Because companies say, well, our target audience is only this one thing, when actually their audience could be much bigger if they thought more broadly.
And do you have any tips on how the leaders or the company can exercise to see another opportunities outside their industry?
Yeah, there's a few. So one is the media that we consume. People, I mean, you're in the media business, right?
Yeah.
And what people read or what they listen to often is based on what they're interested in or what industry they work in. And so I think the first thing we can do is challenge ourselves to read something unusual, to read something different from a different company, from a different industry, maybe from a different country. And because of that, we can get different ideas because we challenge ourselves to read something we ordinarily would not. That's one way. Another way that I have found is talking to people who are from different backgrounds from you. And that's really big because when you have more conversations with more people who are different perspectives.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky because here I am in Bali talking to people who have different backgrounds from me. Most people don't have that chance to do that all the time through travel. But talking to people who have different backgrounds is very important.
Any interesting story from your own life that let talk to another person and then like completely change your life or like change your mindset?
There's big examples and there's small
yeah.
examples, right?
Okay.
So small cultural examples you see all the time. So for example, the way that you indicate to someone to come closer to you.
Yeah.
In America, you turn your palm upwards and you say come closer.
Okay.
In Indonesia and Asian countries, you turn your palm downwards and say come closer. So it's like a very simple thing,
gesture,
small thing, but it's gesturing. But when you pay attention to those details, then you start to notice the big things. So for example, who is the decision maker with certain types of purchases, right? Who's the actual consumer? Who's the influencer behind it?
Yeah.
Who buys different products and who just consumes those products? Those are the sorts of things that vary from one place to another, and you really have to be paying attention to those details. And a lot of times people in marketing and even in media, we are not connected with the end person, right? We see the research, we see the data, but we don't actually talk to people. We don't talk to customers. We don't go into a customer's. We hire research people to do that. And the problem with doing that is you don't get any first-hand experience.
Yeah, that's true though. So next we're going to talk about your book, this non-obvious, how to see what others miss and predict the future, megatrends. What the book is about, like in general?
So the book is about two things. Number one, the habits that I believe we can all use to anticipate and see the future. And so I talk about being curious, being observant, seeing the details in the world, being thoughtful, using elegant words. And then I say be fickle. And fickle is an English word that means to save an idea to come back to later. So you don't always have to know what something means in that moment. You can see it, save it, and then look at it later on. So these are the habits that I talk about, and that's the first part of the book. And then the second part of the book is based on these habits. What are the mega trends? And there's 10 of them in the book. And so in the book, each chapter is a different megatrend. It explains why it's a megatrend, and then it tells you how do you use this in your business or in your career.
From the 10 megatrend, what is the most interesting that maybe you can spoil us a bit?
Now you're going to ask me to choose which one is my favorite children.
Yes.
You can't do
There's
that.
always
right?
favorite.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. You love all of them. But one of them that I have seen a lot of interest in is a trend I called flux commerce.
Flux commerce.
Flux commerce. And flux commerce means that the lines that used to exist between different industries are starting to break down. So you used to be, only in financial services. But then we have financial services companies opening up coffee shops and trying to create places where people can gather, which is a different business.
Exactly.
So now you have these lines in between these different companies. A lot of food companies are also becoming content and media properties at the same time. So they're creating a lot of media and experiences and things like that. So the idea here is we used to be just in one industry, and now we're actually looking at taking a company across multiple industries to increase a consumer connection. And that's kind of what that trend describes.
Okay. Oh, so I'm interested in increase the human connection. Like, why do you think it's more matters now than before?
First of all, I think it matters because we have so much technology in our lives that the moments when we have a human connection matter more to us. Think about what happened during the pandemic and everyone had all these virtual meetings. And now here we are with 800 people gathered together because we want to see people in person. And that's a human thing. It's not like certain people want to do this and everyone else wants to sit at home in their pajamas and just work from home. People want to meet with people, and that's the human piece of this also. So I think we're seeing that now, and maybe we appreciate it a little bit more because it was taken away from us for some amount of time.
Now we're just taking a risk to meet people.
We are, but also the risk is less, right? Because we have vaccines, we have these protections and all of these different things, right?
Yes, exactly. So be curious, be observing, be fickle.
Be thoughtful.
Be thoughtful,
And be elegant. And
Elegant with your language. Yeah, I
with
mean,
your
like, I want to elaborate more on that. Elegant with your language, like, how do you define it?
Well, so I come from the world of advertising, where every word you choose is very intentional, right? If you're writing a print ad, you don't use extra words. You say only what you need to
this
say.
This is the best, like.
Yeah, you be as convincing as you possibly can be. And I studied English literature in school. And when I studied that, I studied a lot of poetry. And poetry is very similar to that because you're choosing your language very intentionally. And I think that the more we can do that, the more persuasive we can be. So people will pay attention to the language we use, and if we think about it before we say it, we create better content.
And you thought that elegant words matters, like it's the sender.
It does matter.
It does matter, right? Yeah.
I mean, you see it so many times. I mean, when I do a keynote speech, when I say something and I put it up on screen, that's what people remember.
Yeah.
It's funny, with the digital books, right? Everyone can have digital books. And one of the amazing things is, as a writer, when someone reads my digital version of my book and they highlight something, I can see what most people have highlighted with the trends.
Yeah.
So I can look at an ebook and I can say, okay, 1,000 people read the book. What did they highlight? And do you know what they highlight most of all? So interesting. They highlight what I chose to put in bold for them.
Oh.
So I've already decided that this is the most important thing. I put it in bold, then they highlight it. They just follow it. They just follow it. And that's really interesting because what it tells me is if I can choose my language and be elegant with it, that's what people will remember and highlight. I'm guiding them. They're not searching through. It's not like a treasure hunt where they're searching through the book and saying, I really want to highlight this thing. It's not like that.
I just remember one of my favorite authors called Adam Grant. I'm sure you know.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I remember, because I'm a psychologist in industrial and organization, so I think he's the one who kind of like introduced the terms languishing. So you just like hit me there.
Yes.
It's like, it's gonna be influenced by the author.
That's right.
Okay.
And we have to know what is going to stick out for people. Like I can already tell you from my talk, I won't because it will be a secret, but I can already tell you what people will write down and what they will remember after the talk. I know that before because I've done my talk in a certain way. So what they remember is what I'm going to tell them to remember. And that's intentional for me because they're going to listen to me for 40 minutes and hopefully they'll be entertained and they'll be laughing. But I want them to remember something too. I don't just want them to leave, go back to work 3 days from now and say, I saw this Indian American guy and he was funny, but I don't remember anything. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want them to remember something. So I have to be intentional about that.
That you being thoughtful then.
That's right.
So my last question about the Fickle, like I want to know more about how does this Fickle look like in practice?
So 2 ways. One is when I read articles in newspapers and magazines, I tear them out and I save them.
Oh, okay.
Like physically.
Yeah. Oh, you still do that?
I still do that.
Okay, interesting.
Still do that. Especially on airplanes.
Okay.
And so by the end of the year, I have a big folder of things that I've physically saved from 9 months ago. Most people don't remember what they read 9 months ago. I always remember because I save it that way. The other thing I do is digital. So every week I write email newsletter called the Non-Obvious Insights newsletter. And I publish it every Thursday. And it's the most interesting and non-obvious stories of the week. In order to publish that, I have to read hundreds of headlines every week. So every week I'm constantly looking for the most interesting stories and then I share those in this email. And so that's also how I save these stories because now I could go back. I've been writing it now for 6 years. So I could go back 6 years every single week and I could see the most interesting stories 5 years ago. And the audience for that has just really, really grown every single year. That's another way where I save the ideas for later.
That's why you're banking your ideas some sort.
Correct.
Okay. That's a great tip. Maybe any last messages to the leaders or companies that for this mega trend?
I think the biggest thing is just a lot of times I come in and people say, oh, you're a futurist.
Okay.
And we like to think about futurists because it's a romantic idea that there are these people who can predict the future, right? And what I tell people is there are habits that anyone can learn. So I don't think that it's only a few people who can be futurists. I think that we can all learn to think this way to anticipate what's going to come next. So what I try to do is not tell people, oh, I'm the futurist, I'm the smartest guy, so I can tell you what to do. What I try and teach people how to do is think in this way, like a futurist. So that's what I believe non-obvious thinking is for. It's to teach you how to think like a futurist.
By developing these certain habits.
Exactly.
Wow, thank you very much, Rohit. This is a very enlightening conversation. So wish you good luck for your session. and hopefully it's gonna left a memories for them like the way you want to.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And if people want to read that newsletter, they can just go to nonobvious.com.
Nonobvious.com. Okay,
Yeah.
Surely we write it down.
Yeah.
Nonobvious.com.
Easy.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rohit, for your time.
Thank you so much.
Amazing experience and insight from Rohit Bhargava. Hope it gave you something new to learn about the non-obvious trend to grow your brand better. Anyway, we'll still have more special episodes of Obsesif Podcast with APMF. You can check it out on Spotify and Media by KG Media YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more podcast episode by following us on our social media at Media by KG Media, or you can hit the button link in the description below. I'm Ellen Bellion as your host, signing out. See you on the next episode. Bye! Thank you for listening to Obsesif Podcast. See you later!